everyone, welcome to Ember Blake Writes. I'm Ember Blake and I make videos about vlogging. Let's do that again. Hey everyone, welcome to Ember Blake Writes. I'm Ember Blake and I make videos about writing and my journey towards becoming a published author. Today I'm responding to a tag that I was tagged in called the Currently Writing tag. This tag was created by the Nerdy Book Nerd and I'll link her channel down in the description below. I was actually tagged by a friend of mine that I met through YouTube, Markus Regius. So thanks for the tag, Markus, and I guess I will just jump into it. So I actually have a lot of projects that are in the works right now, but I'll stick to the one I was working on during camp because that's the one I've been most actively working on at the moment. Question 1. What are you currently working on? My current work in progress is actually a fantasy novel with the working title Burning at Both Ends. It is, people say it's a high fantasy. I don't frankly know what the definition is, but it's kind of a traditional fantasy in the sense that it is a character arc with a hero's journey and a destiny and and it's built in a made-up fantasy world. The reason it's called Burning at Both Ends is because the main, I guess, interesting fantasy element that I brought to it is that everyone's life is represented by candles in this story, and there's someone who's trying to find the sanctuary where all these candles are, and obviously that would be incredibly dangerous for that person to find the sanctuary because everyone's life could be at stake. He could just blow all the candles out or threaten to and use that threat to get power. So it's this frantic scramble where the main character is trying to, the two main characters, I guess, are both sent on this quest to try and stop the sorcerer from finding the sanctuary. Question 2. What's your current word count? I haven't updated Scrivener in a little while, but I have actually written some more, mostly like recently here and there. This month has been kind of crazy for me because I started, I decided to try and get my health in order. Turns out going to the gym more frequently causes a lot of weird chemistry things in your body and your brain can sometimes get overwhelmed. So I've been giving myself a little bit of a break from things like YouTube and writing just to kind of let myself change and then move on. But last I checked, my word count was somewhere around 54,000 words. I'd say I'm at about the halfway mark, but I'm not 100% sure because a lot of the stuff in my story that I thought would be relatively quick is actually taking a really long time to write. And probably that just means that I'm filling my book with a bunch of fluff it doesn't need. But, you know, no one's perfect. Chloe's being a little cutie. Are you being a little cutie? Yeah, Mom. Let's give you some belly rubs. Because you're a good girl. Back to the questions. Question 3. What is your current deadline? I don't really have one. As soon as possible? I mean, as of today, it is June 7th, and I always was thinking like Camp NaNoWriMo is way far off, and now I'm realizing you can set up your cabins now, you can declare your work now, and so I'm trying to figure out what I even want to work on for camp. And so I'm debating between working on Burning at Both Ends or going back and doing a total rewrite of my paranormal romance novel, The Scent of Cedar. But right now I'm thinking I'm gonna just kind of plow forward with Burning at Both Ends until I have a skeleton draft, and then I can always just like let it sit and then later on go back and see what things worked and what things did not work. Because right now a lot of it is, the beginning I feel like is really, really strong, but the end, or the middle part right now, which is where I'm at right now, is very, I hate to use this word, it is very boring. I'm bored writing it, and I'm sure I will be bored reading it. That's not to say it's irredeemable. I just have no idea what I'm doing with this book. Question 4. What is your current writing music / song? So when I'm writing, I need my music to not have lyrics, which seems to be a pretty common theme amongst us author tubers, but no lyrics. And I tend to gravitate towards video game soundtracks. A lot of the soundtracks of video games are actually wonderful. They're really, really good. A lot of video game music is actually designed to create atmosphere, but not distract you. When you're thinking about it, you want to be focused on the actual gameplay. So they want to create the mood and then just let you be in the mood. So this particular book I'm working on right now is kind of in a deserty world, and I've been really enjoying listening to the soundtrack of the Journey game. I have not actually played the game, but the soundtrack is beautiful, and it is very atmospheric in terms of like, it really has this kind of like, it has a very grand scale, but it has a very, it also has you feel like you're in the desert. I can't words. It's Friday. I tend to listen to different music depending on what I'm working on at the time. If I'm working on general like world building, I like to listen to Journey. But if I'm actually doing some action or something that's a little bit more intense, I've also been really enjoying listening to music by Darren Korb. He did the soundtrack for games like Bastion and Pyre, and in particular, I've been really liking the song Path to Glory from the Pyre soundtrack. Question 5. What is your current writing snack? I have 2 words. Dark chocolate. Freaking love this stuff. Anything over 85% cocoa? So good. Now that's what I call brain food. Question 6. What is your current struggle? Apart from just finding time and motivation to write, I think the main problem is that I am finding there are lots and lots of things that I need to change earlier in my novel. This is, I think, a pretty common pitfall amongst the people I've talked to on the Nano forums, Discord, all those other kinds of places, but sometimes when you're pretty far into a manuscript and you realize there are so many things wrong, it is really hard to keep going and not go back and fix those things. Or the other thing I'm struggling with is I'm finding that the middle of my novel is very bloated. On the one hand, I am hesitant to keep working on where I'm at because I already have so much dialogue and character building that it seems to be going nowhere, but is really important when it eventually gets where it's supposed to be going, obviously. But at the same time, I need to just kind of move into the next like arc to actually hopefully get me out of my rut. I'll get past it eventually. I just need to have some sort of action or something happen to kind of move the plot forward, I think. Because right now there's just a lot of like, I'm not really sure I can make these characters trust each other at this point. I've set the foreground for them hating each other so high. Question 7. Who is your favorite character? I don't know if you all have had this happen in your books, but a minor character has actually become my favorite character. And it's mostly because she has told me in her own way, I am not a servant woman. I am the one who's gonna make sure everything gets done because I'm awesome. And her name is Nadine. She's Ysane's servant woman who has been serving him for, I would say, probably at least 10 years now. And she is a bad mother trucker. She is smart. She subtly changes Ysane's behavior and controls him when he's being irrational. But at the same time, she's meek and doesn't really speak up. And she's probably the most complex character in this book. But she was initially just supposed to be a plot device. Funny how that happens when a character says, no, I'm gonna tell you who I am. Question 8, what draft are you currently working on? The 0 draft is, I guess, the term that best describes and is most widely recognized as where I'm at right now. I had no idea what I was doing with this one. My romance novel, I knew immediately where I was going with it. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and it just kind of like fell out of me like a brain dump. For this book, I knew the concept really well, but I had no idea how to use the concept to actually tell a story. I did do an outline, but I'm kind of in the middle of like the part of the book where I just have no idea what I'm doing. It's definitely gonna need a rewrite when I'm done. Question 9. What are the current numbers of works in progress you're working on? So my 2 main works in progress are Burning at Both Ends and The Scent of Cedar. Unfortunately, I recently realized that The Scent of Cedar has gone from the about to be published status to the 0 draft status. Whew. That one hurt. The good news is I have a lot of ideas of how I want to improve it, and so I'm really actually pumped about starting the next draft of that book. I do also have a couple other novels that might be coming down the pipeline. One is a book I've worked extensively on for a while and is the first in a trilogy, but that one is probably going to take a while for it to actually be finished because it is well, it was supposed to be the first in a trilogy, and then that one book turned into at least 2 books. So I need to do a lot of thinking about how I want to structure that series before I start kind of shoving off. But I do really like the world that it's in, and I love the kind of centralized religion that I've created for that book. And it's been something that's been literally, I can trace back to middle school when I first came up with this idea. So I would love to one day see it come to fruition. So those are my answers to the currently writing tag. Thanks so much for tagging me, Marcus. And now it's time to tag other people. So I figured I would tag some of the first people that subscribed to my channel. So I'm tagging Anna Fox, Laura Wrights, and April K. Let's hear more about what you're currently writing. And with that, that's the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.